Hi everyone. Welcome back to Real Estate Redefined, a web series brought to you by Cisco's Hybrid Work Center of Excellence team. My name's Murray, and I'm joined by my colleagues Ansar and Ryan, who will be delivering the content of today's episode. In our 9th episode of the web series, we will be discussing telemetry and APIs. As a recap of the previous episode, we discussed IoT and OT endpoints. For those returning visitors, thank you so much for continuing to watch and learn from our web series. We hope these episodes are helping you and your colleagues understand what is possible with technology and what the future may hold for the built space. For those who are just joining us for the first time today, please make sure to check out our YouTube to watch the previous episodes in the series. Now let's jump in to episode 9.
Thank you, Murray. We will start today's episode with an introduction to how technology is transforming workplaces and the importance of data and insights. We will then cover an overview of Cisco's solution for creating connected workplaces. Next, we will discuss how telemetries and APIs are crucial for data collections and communications, and followed by how Cisco devices gather and utilize this telemetry data. We will also explore Cisco Spaces as a middleware platform for telemetry data and have discussions on the APIs and integrations available. Finally, we will conclude with a live demonstration. Without any further ado, let's get into the topic. The workplace is undergoing a significant transformation, becoming increasingly hybrid as more organizations embrace a mix of remote as well as in-office work. Many companies are looking to downsize their real estate footprints, seeking cost-effective solutions while maintaining quality as well as productivity. At the same time, there is a strong emphasis on delivering an exceptional user experience at the workplaces, ensuring that employees have the tools as well as the environments they need to thrive. Workplaces are also being digitized to gain valuable data and insights. And additionally, employees' well-being as well as long-term sustainability goals are also becoming a priority for many organizations. Here, data plays a crucial role. We often say data is the new love language. It is true. Data is becoming increasingly important in understanding how our modern workplaces function and how we can make them better. With the right data, we can uncover insights that help us improve the productivity, optimize resources, and enhance the overall experience for employees. Data allows us to make informed decisions, tailor solutions to individual needs, and also create environments where everyone can thrive. To effectively collect this data, we require a robust infrastructure solution consisting of various endpoint systems, network, compute, collaboration, security, IoT, along with sophisticated platforms that simplify the overall collection, normalization, as well as contextualization of this data and making it available for the end use. Now, let us explore how Cisco's solutions addresses the evolving needs of modern workplaces. It all begins with the Cisco's network infrastructure, which serves as the backbone, sensor, and as well as the convergence point for various IT and OT systems in a modern workplace building. Cisco devices such as Meraki cameras, Wi-Fi access points, collaboration endpoints, and IoT sensors act as the sources, generating diverse sets of data, including things such as the environmental metrics, energy utilization metrics, and space occupancy details. This data sets then seamlessly flows to the platforms such as Cisco Spaces to drive the desired business outcome. We will talk about that in detail in the upcoming slides. And it is important to highlight the fact that Cisco's infrastructure comes with a lot of built-in IoT capabilities, such as built-in sensors, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and as well as automation capabilities. These are the primary facts that is contributing to achieving all these outcomes. There, you eliminating the need for duplicating the infrastructure. This approach has reduced the overall reliance on additional third-party endpoints and systems, making the overall implementation process very simple, secure, and more cost-effective. And moreover, the ability of Cisco's UPOE Plus switches to deliver data as well as 90 watts of power, PoE power, to various endpoints over a single network cable opens up a new opportunities for creating a highly data-driven as well as sustainable environment. Let us take a closer look at the two key plays: telemetry and APIs. These are the essential components that help us make the most of the data generated by Cisco devices. So what are telemetry and APIs? Let's discuss some basic stuff here. Telemetry simply refers to the collection as well as transmission of data, whereas an API stands for Application Programming Interfaces. Think of them as a software communication bridge that allows different softwares to communicate each other. Let's take some general example. In a third-party flight booking website, you all book flight tickets. Most of the time this is done through some third-party websites. Here, the telemetry constantly updates you on the flight information such as like the prices, availability, giving you that real-time updates on the flight. Whereas the APIs act like a secret codes that enables the third-party websites to talk to different airline systems and helping gather the flight details from various sources and display them all in one place, and making it easier for you to find the best options possible. So here the telemetry provides you with the latest flight information, whereas the APIs ensures that the third-party website can gather that information from multiple sources. So it's a communication bridge. Now let's put that into the context of Cisco's solution. There, the telemetry and API serves as the communication backbone of Cisco's connected digital workplace solution. Telemetry gathers real-time data from Cisco devices, providing you with an insight into workplace operations, including occupancy, environmental conditions, as well as energy usage in real time. This data then seamlessly flows into a platform such as like Cisco Spaces. I talked about it earlier. Here, the APIs act as the connectors, enabling these different software systems as well as platforms to communicate seamlessly and unlocking those integrations, data exchange, as well as automation capabilities. Let me invite my colleague Ryan Casey to further delve deep into this topic of telemetry and APIs.
Thanks, Ansar. So when we look at Cisco devices and the telemetry that's contained within our devices, we can look at this vast ecosystem of telemetry that you can now harness and be able to drive new outcomes in your infrastructure. As we look at the platforms from Cisco Spaces to Meraki Dashboard, our WebEx suite, and then as we look at all the connected infrastructure, if we take a look on the left-hand side to access points, being able to pull occupancy data from our access points, our air quality, temperature, humidity, and as well as to be able to connect BLE devices to those access points, simplifying that infrastructure, and now taking advantage of all the telemetry that's contained in that infrastructure. As we move over to switches, being able to get occupancy data directly from the switches via those connected infrastructure on each of those interfaces, as well as being able to harness the telemetry that we create through the IoT gateway directly into Spaces. And as we move further over into our WebEx devices, being able to look at room occupancy, people count, ambient noise. The list kind of goes on and on as we look to create that seamless integration between not only the devices being installed, but what we can harvest and what we can collect on the data and insights into each of those particular solutions. So really that holistic end-to-end approach to where we create that platform for each of the connected infrastructures to not only be able to connect what we would see on a typical IT perspective, but then be able to drive that into different outcomes and use cases in the space. As we take a deeper look into that connected infrastructure. So on the previous slide, we went through and we looked at what the infrastructure actually is. So those devices, on our access points, the devices connected to our access points, our wired solutions, as well as our collaboration endpoints. So we have that vast ecosystem of devices and then the telemetry that's associated with those devices. What does the transport of this telemetry actually look like? So now we have all our connected devices on the left-hand side, and then we bring that through several different methods. So the idea is to create that platform, that ease of interoperability. So as we look at bringing in our connected Meraki infrastructure through the Meraki dashboard directly into Cisco Spaces via an API, we'll bring in our wireless infrastructure through our Catalyst access points through that Spaces connector. So we have a lightweight virtual machine that we deploy on site to be able to harvest all of that Catalyst Wi-Fi information directly over into Cisco Spaces via HTTPS. And then we have our wired connection. So via NetConf, bringing that direct information and that telemetry in through the Spaces connector over into Cisco Spaces. And then we have our cloud-to-cloud integration on our WebEx Control Hub. So if we think about it, what we're able to do is very simply connect all of that infrastructure. So all the telemetry, all the devices that you see that you would typically normally see in an environment. And then we simplify the onboarding of all that telemetry. Once it's in the Cisco Spaces, now we can simply share that into third-party API integrations, our plugin framework, as well as be able to share via PX Grid. So we can now bring in information that we would have on our authentication side and then be able to share that ecosystem very seamlessly with all the telemetry that's now harvested in this infrastructure. Looking at the high-level architecture of the data, we break this down into two sections, our wireless and our wired. On our wireless side, we have all of our BLE devices that are attached to our access points and our IoT devices. So that rich set of devices being able to look at temperature, humidity, device location, asset tracking, as well as people counting through there. These run on a small IoT gateway that's contained on our access points. And then that telemetry is brought up into the wireless LAN controllers via CapWAP, and then being able to send that directly into the Cisco Spaces connector via gRPC. So then from there, there's the secure connection, which is brought up into Cisco Spaces. And then from there, the telemetry is now into Cisco Spaces and then can be seamlessly shared in the apps that are in Cisco Spaces and then sent off via that API to partner applications. On the wired side, it's a very similar approach. So we have all those PoE sensors that are contained within that connected infrastructure, so directly powered via PoE, our switching infrastructure. We have an IoT gateway running on our 9300s and 9400 switches. So having the option to be able to do a modular or a fixed base chassis. And then that is sent up via NetConf to that Spaces connector, and then that secure connection into Spaces, and then that being able to be shown via the applications directly in Spaces, as well as being able to be sent off to third-party applications via that Firehose API. So very simply, we're able to look at both wired and wireless applications and the simplification of all the telemetry that now can be harvested through that connected infrastructure. This is where I really think that the power of APIs and integrations really takes fold. So when we look at being able to harvest all of that connected infrastructure, a lot of organizations are data rich, but poor on the application side. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we be able to provide additional outcomes and use cases from this connected infrastructure? We do that via APIs. So we'll be able to take our Firehose API. It's a high performance, low latency API. So when we look at being able to stream that to third-party ecosystems, now we can begin to take advantage of those benefits from what would be a very complex or integration-heavy deployment. we're able to simplify that because now we've connected all the infrastructure. We've now built better in that entire landscape. And then we can send that out to third-party APIs. Very seamlessly be able to take advantage of that, all of that connected infrastructure, and now drive new outcomes. So be able to drive additional efficiencies in a building automation system, being able to send that off into fault detection and diagnosis systems. So really being able to simplify how we harvest the data and then how we send the data off to those particular systems to provide the value into each of those solutions. If we continue on this journey and we look at what the actual API feed looks like, we can see that there's a vast amount of information that's contained in this feed. So when we look at being able to provide that location hierarchy, the context that's applied to each of these particular data sets, we really look at being able to simplify that and then normalize that API feed. So from the particular spaces tenant, of being able to look at the actual tenant name, being able to look at the reference, and then the event type. So really being able to categorize each of these particular telemetry feeds that come in. As we go down a little bit further, we can look at the location ID. So that goes back to the location hierarchy. As we bring in all these devices, we map that over to the particular location hierarchy. So there's no longer just a massive feed of telemetry, but now what we've done is we provide context to that telemetry. So we provide the context, so this way this can be easily divided and consumed by different applications because now we've simplified that data structure. And then if we look, being able to have that parent location, so we look at being able to look at a campus, network, building, and floor, and then the actual device itself. So when they receive that data, they're able to simplify the use for it and then be able to very simply map that over into each of their partner applications. This is another example of the API view, being able to look at that location hierarchy. And this looks in terms of an IoT connected device. So as we were able to onboard that IoT device, we're able to look at the rich telemetry sets that's now contained from there, as well as provide location context to that particular device. So we look on the detected position, we're able to look at the XY coordinates in terms of the floor plate that we've now brought in spaces. So whether it be through Catalyst Center or through your Meraki maps, being able to provide that context to where this device actually is, then we're able to dive down into that particular type of sensor. So that's this particular type of sensor is a temperature sensor that's out on the field. So we can look at both the raw temperature and as well as in Celsius as well. We're able to look at all the information that's contained in there. So the accelerometer that's contained with there, the battery value, and then as well as the last user action that's there. So we're able to simplify the architecture. We're able to take this API feed, these connected devices that we have in the infrastructure, and then we're able to translate that very simply and very uniformly into a telemetry feed that can be easily consumed via that streaming API. So you have the ability to be able to build your own custom applications off of this, being able to simplify the data structure and architecture, and then leverage new outcomes that you would have through there. So as you begin to connect this infrastructure, as you begin to build better, as you begin to find new solutions, because we see sometimes that there might be gray areas in a floor plate, very seamlessly be able to add the BLE sensors to that wireless infrastructure that you have, and then now be able to provide context back into those non-visible parts of my infrastructure. Let's take a look at what this looks like from a wired side. So we have our IoT gateway that's deployed to our Catalyst infrastructure. And then from there, we can look at the vendor sensors. So all of that PoE connected infrastructure. We now can look at the event types, that classification of the event type. So if we take a look, We see this event type is from our IoT telemetry, so that connected wired infrastructure that we now have. We look at the device type, so we're able to look at that IoT wired device type, and then we look at the timestamp as well. All of this connected infrastructure brings that up through the Catalyst switch, through that Spaces connector, via gRPC, netconf, and then being able to securely transport all of that connected infrastructure up into Cisco Spaces. So we have that on-prem solution as we begin to look at scaling, and then we look at all of that solution and systems that we have connected to it, simplify the onboarding, bring that very seamlessly in through the Spaces connector up into that cloud platform to be able to enhance any of your day-to-day operations with that connected infrastructure. If we look at integrating Catalyst Center directly into Cisco Spaces, what we're able to take advantage of is the network maps that are in Catalyst Center and be able to provide those directly into Cisco Spaces. So on our wired and wireless infrastructure, as we have the location hierarchy that's contained within Catalyst Center, we now take those maps that we've defined and our actual access points and all of our connected infrastructure. We now push those directly into Spaces, and then now we can take advantage of those maps that we've created and bring those into Cisco Spaces. So from there, we're able to do syncing of the maps. So as there's additional changes on Catalyst Center, we can very seamlessly sync over those maps into Cisco Spaces. And then we can provide further context between looking at rogue clients or access points that might be contained on a map. And we can look at detect and locate to where these devices are. And now we can begin to provide that further context into that streamed infrastructure.
Thank you, Ryan. Cisco Catalyst Center, the other platform, also offer various APIs and telemetry features for automating the network management as well as gaining deeper insight into the network health. It goes beyond managing just Cisco devices, enabling a unified network management by integrating network management with several other IT domains for a holistic view and improved workflows through various APIs and the use of SDKs. Intent-based APIs let you perform tasks like provisioning devices, configuring settings, software updates, and retrieving device information and so on. Whereas integration APIs, on the other side, allows Catalyst Center to connect with several other applications. And now the events as well as notifications APIs send alerts based on the network events. The benefits of these APIs include you're able to do automation, reduces the overall manual efforts as well as errors. You are able to do a lot of customizations, allowing the development of specific applications and making it possible to integrate with the several other network tools for a unified view. For example, integrating Cisco Catalyst Center with the Cisco Spaces platform enables the importing floor maps from the Catalyst Center to the Cisco Spaces, that automatically creating a location hierarchies and another feature, and also enhancing the location-based services and analytics. Similarly, when you integrating Catalyst Center with the IT service management tools like ServiceNow, which is a ticketing system, streamlines that network management as well as incident response overall. Like Cisco Catalyst Center, Cisco Meraki also empowers network management through APIs and telemetries. Meraki dashboard APIs offer programmatic control, automating tasks such as like device provisioning, configuration management, and network health monitoring. The webhook APIs enables real-time notifications for events like outages sent to custom applications as well as external services. And additionally, scanning APIs provide access to location data for tracking device movement, while the captive portal APIs allows customization for guest Wi-Fi access or BYOD, bring your own device management. On the other side, the Meraki's MQTT support facilitates real-time data exchange, and it is ideal for custom network monitoring dashboards tailored to the IoT sensor data. Let us now explore how Cisco's collaboration ecosystems goes beyond the physical meeting rooms, transforming them into data-driven environments through seamless integration with the Cisco Spaces, as well as powerful APIs. At high level, here is how it works. Collaboration endpoints such as like room series or desk series devices gather data via inbuilt sensors. This data includes information about presence like room occupancy, environmental conditions such as like temperature, humidity, and the noise level. This data is then transmitted securely to the Cisco Control Hub. That's a central management platform for your collaboration devices. Here, the Control Hub acts as the bridge, sending a real-time data stream to Cisco Spaces via cloud-to-cloud integration method. Cisco Spaces then utilize this data natively within their built-in applications or use Firehose API to relay this data stream to the external world, such as like partner application. Now, taking a closer look at the data stream exchanged via the Firehose API includes information such as like the presence, people count, ambient noise, the time, the type of event, example, someone entering, leaving, etc., and the location details as well. Partner applications can then leverage this data for various purposes, including meeting rooms optimizations or maybe to enhance the user experiences, particularly in areas like the facility managers wanting to get the data and insights about the environment, and as well as the real estate want to make some informed decision about their workspaces through the data and insights, which is collected from various endpoints that are deployed across each and every room. Let me invite my colleague Ryan Casey to do a live demonstration of a Cisco Spaces partner dashboard.
If we go to partners.dnaspaces.io, this is where we can go ahead and log in to our partner ecosystem. So as we click and log in, you'll log in with your Cisco Spaces credentials. You'll see the tenants that you have available. We'll go ahead and log into our tenant. And as we log in, this brings you to the partner ecosystem within Cisco Spaces. So you look at all the documentation that we have available. So our partner onboarding, API documentation, the license agreements, some examples, use cases, and best practices. So we have all this application and all this data here for you. And then now we're going to go ahead and create a new app. So you have the option to do a multi-tenant cloud, a single tenant cloud, and an on-prem solution for this particular tenant. We'll choose on-prem. We'll click create. And then this allows you to now start adding the information to this particular application that you want to leverage that API feed in Cisco Spaces. The App Center will go ahead and put the information such as the app name and which particular region that you have this tenant set up in. So we'll use our global instance for the rest of the world. You have the use cases. So this goes into the use cases that are going to be for this particular application. So whether it be location information, whether it be additional efficiencies into a building automation system. The app tile, this is going to be what the actual application is going to look like. So sort of a little icon for that particular application. And then the events. So our profile updates, location information change, device location update. So this would be that geolocation coordinates, so the actual XY coordinates on that particular floor plate. And then as well as device presence. So that information that would come off of our connected infrastructure. On the integration details, this is how you want to be able to interact with that particular feed. So whether it be a streaming connection, WebSocket, or gRPC calls, be able to bring that information in from there. On our app sandbox, this is where you would bring that particular new application that you've created directly into that particular tenant, and then you would activate that via a token. So this is very seamlessly be able to activate that and then bring that information directly into that particular tenant. And in this way, you can further advance some of those efficiencies and those use cases by connecting to that Firehose API.
Thank you all so much for joining us for today's episode of the web series. If you just joined us for the first time today, please make sure to check out our previous episodes on YouTube. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to register for future episodes of the series. Please make sure to come back next month for our final episode where we will be covering Cisco Spaces.